last class, we had discussed with the capacity of parties, minor, persons of unsound mind, and persons disqualified by law. Moving on, our next topic is free consent. That means the consent or the permission to enter into an agreement must be willful agreement or a willful consent. It should not be by force or by any other means. The parties entering into the contract must willfully agree to enter into the contract. Let's look at the meaning. Free consent is very important and essential element of a valid contract. Under Section 10 of the Act, it provides that all contracts are made with free consent. So if there is any contract that is entered by any other means other than the free consent, that means willfully if the parties are not entering into the contract, then those are void or unenforceable by the court of law. According to Section 14, consent is defined as two or more people are set to consent when they agree upon the same thing in the same sense. Is that clear? That means mentally they must be able to understand and make a choice for themselves or a decision based on the understanding of the terms and conditions of the contract. If Mr. A is telling, I want to sell the goods to you at rupees 50 per kg, B must also understand in the same sense, right? That means he must be mentally sound. That means he must be able to agree to the terms and conditions in the same manner as the other party is explaining it to him. Okay, so that is what the Section 14 of the Act says. Both the parties to the contract must agree upon the same thing in the same sense. Here in English law, it's commonly called as conscientious as idems. That means meeting of minds at the same time with the same sense. The same meaning has been said in the under the English law. Is that clear? Hope you have understood what is the meaning of free consent. Now let's look at when consent is not free and it is caused by. In case when two or more parties enter into a contract, but then their consent was not free, okay, but it is caused by what? Coercion, undue influence, by fraud, by misrepresentation, and by mistake. These are the 5 different cases that is mentioned by the law. In case if it's not a free consent, these are the possible ways of people entering into the contract. One is by coercion, one is by undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. Under the first 4 cases, that is from coercion to misrepresentation, agreement is voidable. By mistake, agreement may be void or voidable. We look into each of these cases separately. What is coercion? It means making a person to do an act forcibly or compelling him to do so. As per Section 15 of the Act, coercion is defined as committing any act forbidden by Indian Penal Code. The threatening to commit any act forbidden by law. Now, coercion means in basic sense, it means I am forcing a certain person, right? I am compelling him to enter into a certain contract. He is not willing to enter, he is not interested in the agreement, but then by force, he is entering into the contract. Now, Act has defined 4 different conditions here. Committing any act forbidden. Forbidden means what? Which has been prohibited by the government of India. It says selling of drugs is prohibited, is unlawful. But then what I force the other person is, I force them to enter into the contract. That is forbidden by law. Second is the threatening to commit any act forbidden by law. For that case, even in terms of printing of currency, that is not, that nobody has the right and the permission to print currency notes except for the government itself. So if I am forcing a certain person to print currency or falsify the currency, right, threatening, if you don't do certain act, I might have to kill you or I might have to take a action upon you, etc. I'm threatening the other person if they do not enter into the contract. Third, the unlawful detaining of any property. So legally, if it belongs to a certain person, unlawfully I will want to take over that property. The property can be a building, a house property, a factory, anything. If it's in the person's name, unlawfully I'm going to take it over into my name. Threatening to detain a property wrongfully. That means if you're not giving, or if the property is not being transferred unlawfully, I might have to take a action against that person. Now all these are something conditions laid down. The law does not entertain it, the law does not accept it, it is completely unlawful or completely prohibited by law. So coercion means a person forcing another person or compelling the other person to enter into a contract where the consent is not free. I'm just compelling him by force. So that is called as agreement by coercion. Second point, undue influence. It means the unfair use of one's authority or superior power in order to obtain the consent of a person who is subordinate or in a wavier position. Now here what happens is, undue influence means a person in a higher authority trying to use his authority and power and make the person who is working for him or who is below his position and making him to enter into the contract. Is that clear? The person is in such a position that he has to obey his master or he has to obey his boss. He is in such a position that he cannot leave his job if he does not want to even enter into the agreement. He is in such a position that the higher authority person takes advantage by, it's called as undue influence. So he is going to influence his employee working under him to enter into the contract. So it is unfair use of one's authority. The authority was company is given to him not to make such agreements, not to make his employees enter into agreements without their consent. It was unfair of one's authority. The authority was given to guide or to take care of their employees or guide them or make them learn certain companies' prospects, but not. They are doing unfair use of authority and power. Okay, so in order to obtain the consent, now because he is my employee and he's going to work under me, I can force him into doing certain things. I can just order him to do and he's going to do it. So that way is called as undue influence. Number 3, fraud. Fraud is willful representation made by a party to a contract with the intent to deceive other party to or induce such party to enter into a contract. Now here fraud, as we always know, as the name itself says, the very intention why I want the other person to enter is to create some kind of harm. I am trying to deceive the other party so that they can enter into the contract. It is a willful representation. Remember, fraud is a willful representation. I'm willingly representing myself as who I'm not to be. Right? Maybe I'm not an income tax officer, but I misrepresent myself as a income tax officer and then go raid into the office. That is called as willful representation, but the intention is what? Fraudulent. I have no authority to do so, okay, and I'm not supposed to do that in order to deceive or in order to induce the other party. So agreements which are entered in the way of fraud, then those agreements are voidable by the court of law. Number 4, misrepresentation. It means false representation made innocently with an honest belief as to its truth by a party without any intention to deceive another party. Now here, see, if you can notice here, fraud is what? willful representation. Notice that word willful. That means that man is aware that he is ready to cheat or ready to deceive the other party. It is willful. It is by his knowledge and his consent. But here misrepresentation means false representation made innocently. Is that clear? So I'm representing something with a honest belief. Okay, I'm not willfully want to cheat the customer, but I'm with a honest belief I'm representing falsely as to it truth by the other party without any intention to deceive. What was the intention under fraud? The intention was to deceive or cheat the other party, whereas for misrepresentation the intention was not to deceive the other party or not to cheat the other party. Let me give an example here. Shopkeeper is selling clothes with a color guarantee. Now let's say there is a stock of goods that comes to the shopkeeper from the supplier or from the manufacturer. Now the supplier tells the shopkeeper that these shirts or these trousers are color guarantee. Even when you wash them, the color was not going to move out of the clothes, right? It's a color guarantee clothes. So whatever the shopkeeper has received the stock, whoever customer comes into a shop to buy that piece of shirt, okay, now he is going to say the same thing, that this so and so goods are color guarantee. Now here he does not know about it. He is just telling whatever, he is innocently telling whatever the supplier has promised him or whatever the supplier has informed him. The moment shopkeeper made sales of those stock of goods and the customer washes the very next day or whenever it is possible, and then the color is the color is going out of the shirts or the clothes, the customer immediately comes and complains to the shopkeeper that you guarantee that the color is not going to leave, but this is what is happening. Now here it is whose mistake? It is nobody's mistake, correct? Now it is just the shopkeeper is just telling what he has received from the supplier. He had no intention to cheat the customer with the stock of goods that he was selling. Is that clear? Which is called as misrepresentation. It is a false representation made innocently. Now he did not tell that just to make sales. He did not tell there is a color guarantee for the stock of goods just to make sure he going to have enough amount of sales or make enough amount of profits. No, he just told it because the manufacturer or the supplier told him. Is that clear? This is called as misrepresentation. Next up we have mistake. Mistake. A contract which is otherwise valid may sometimes become void. Now, when the time of entering into the contract, both the parties to a contract have free consent. Okay, but then what happens subsequently makes the contract or makes the agreement void. When the consent of one or both the parties is caused by misconception, the contract is said to be induced by mistake. Now here nothing is intentional, it just happens by a mistake. It is not neither the seller's mistake, neither the buyers by willfully nobody have defaulted here, but it has just a misconception or it has happened by mistake. We usually tell it, right? Now by mistake, okay, I assumed it this way. It's by mistake, right? Now same thing applies to the contract here. Let's look at an example. A wanted to sell bike to B. Now A says he is willing to sell his bike to B. Now he says next week I am going to within 1 week I am willing to sell the bike to B at so and so price. Now in between this week times that he has given the time to sell, the bike has been stolen. Is that clear? A has promised to sell the bike to B for so and so for let's say 10,000 rupees. Now A's consent is willful. A's contention is willful. B's consent is also willful. The object of the contract is also legal. There's nothing illegal about the agreement to sell a bike to another person. But what happens here is, it is neither party A mistake or party B. Nobody is fraudulent and nobody is trying to cheat the other party. But then the bike gets stolen within that 1 period or 1 week's time period. So therefore the contract becomes void. Is that clear? Therefore the contract or the agreement becomes void, because the subject matter of the contract is what? Bike. If the wanted to sell bike or wanted to purchase a bike, if the bike itself is not existent, you cannot execute your contract. Neither A can execute it, neither B can execute it, because the subject matter of the contract is bike and the bike is stolen or the bike is missing. Is that clear? So it is by mistake. Hope things are clear to you. We have discussed about the free consent. We discussed what is free consent according to the Act. What are the ways of taking a consent if not it is free? By coercion, by undue influence, by fraud, by misrepresentation and by mistake.